Hello and welcome to another episode of Hello Me. It's me, Vulnerable as F, a Nikki Daily podcast. I appreciate you being here. Just want to let you know that this particular episode was recorded while I was on the road, so you're going to hear a lot of background noise. But I felt like the content of this particular episode was just too good to throw away. So you're going to get what you're going to get, and I don't want to hear you throwing a fit, okay? So that all being said, thank you for enjoying, for being here. I appreciate you. And yeah, you can find more of these episodes on YouTube coming up. All right, let's get into it.
Welcome to Hello Me. It's me, Vulnerable AF, a podcast hosted by Nikki D. Lovely. That's really just her diary disguised as a podcast, but who cares? You're here for it. Join in as she addresses her self-reflections on life, love, and dating, and gives us all the tea by being more vulnerable than she ever has with herself and the world. So let's get started in today's episode with Nikki D. Lovely, already in progress.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Vulnerable as F, because you know me. I have not been as vulnerable as I probably should have been in my past. And I think that is what is going to lead us into today's episode, which is called Emotionally Unavailable. Ha! Funny, right? So funny that this is today's topic about being emotionally unavailable, because honestly, if I'm being very transparent and honest with myself, I've realized that oh man, I can't believe I'm about to say this. I have realized that let me tread lightly here. I'm going to say I have been emotionally unavailable. And I can say I have been emotionally unavailable for sure in my past. But I think just recently, I had to ask myself if, even with all the work that I've been doing on myself and just getting out into the dating world, after 5 years of just being, solely focused on myself, I had to ask myself if I am emotionally unavailable, because I really haven't had that relationship experience. And this is me being very transparent. I think a lot of us, we're looking for something, and I know for me, I have been looking for emotionally available people, but then I have some kind of solace. Was that the word I'm looking for? There's some kind of comfort I've realized, because the last two people that I've dated, I feel like they were emotionally unavailable. However,
half-mile, turn right onto North Cleveland Street.
Sorry, I should have told you guys I am actually on my way to Houston, Texas. So if you follow my Snapchat, you have probably seen that I'm taking this trip in my little electric vehicle, which I hate trying to take trips in this thing because it takes like an hour to charge, and the problem with the chargers and all that, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, just so you know, I'm in the car right now, and I'm driving.
In a quarter-mile, turn right onto North Cleveland Street
Through Houston. So you may actually hear me in the background, or hear the little map lady in the background. But anyway, back to being emotionally unavailable, and me realizing that
turn right onto North Cleveland Street and then turn left.
Me realizing that I am emotionally unavailable, potentially, because I realize I'm putting it on my partner. And the thing with me putting it on them is it also makes me wonder whether or not it's really them or if it's me. Because I realize that with them not wanting to be emotionally available to me, in the beginning, I actually found some comfort in that, in not having to share. I realized if they didn't share, that also meant that I didn't have to share. And when I sat with that, I was like, wow, Nikki, you may also be emotionally unavailable as well. Or maybe you're the one who's emotionally unavailable, and they were fine. I don't know. Or maybe I do know, because I have talked to some people who I feel are more emotionally available. And it has made me very safe and easy going enough to open up as well. But I realized, like, with this one guy I was talking to, he's very secure. He's a very secure type. And if you guys don't know anything about the attachment styles, I'll touch on that in another podcast. But in the meantime, you can look up secure versus anxious versus avoidant attachment styles. And in this case, secure is one of the best attachment styles you can be with, because you feel secure when you're with them. So in talking to a secure, someone who was raised with caring parents who cared about that person's feelings, I realized that I feel like I may be a little bit more open to opening up to them. For example, I was talking to the guy, and he really dug deep into his past. He told me some things about him, about being with someone and having children out of wedlock, and just some really crazy stories about how some of that stuff went down, and how an ex, well, not even an ex, like a one night stand, the woman turns out to be gay, and all this other crazy stuff. And he said, I'm very transparent, so I don't mind going into that stuff. And for me, I was like, whoa, that's a lot. But for a secure, they really don't care how you feel about their story. They'll tell you their story, and they don't care how you feel about it. I realize I don't mind telling people my story either, but that took me a while to get to that place. And I think I'm only recently there, probably even from the help of this podcast. So I'm learning that I'm becoming more emotionally available. And I think emotionally available means that you are actually dealing with your emotions. And in order to be emotionally available, you have to have dealt with your own shit. And I've said this before in other podcasts. And I think that is the reason why I wound up doing this podcast, is because it's like, what other way than to get out your emotions, than to blast all of your demons to the world? I tell you guys, I tell you things I have never told anyone. I say things I have never told my parents. I've never told my mom. I've never told my auntie. I've never told my girls. This is really my secret safe space. And in getting out all of this and broadcasting it to everyone, and knowing that, there are views, it takes away the pressure. It takes away the shame. Sitting with yourself and releasing, the bad, or quote unquote bad parts about yourself with others, releases that. Getting in touch with your emotions. And I think the reason why I do this for you guys is to show you that I had a lot of shame with my emotions. And I'm not the only person. As children, when we grow up and we're not able to voice our concerns or our thoughts, your mom, when you start crying, your mom may say something like, suck those tears up, or cry again, I'll give you something to cry about. That wasn't allowing us to be in touch with our emotions, right? So we carry that stuff with us. We carry that stuff with us when we go to adulthood. And those are the things that we have to unlearn to make ourselves become more emotionally available. And if I'm being honest with myself, that's what I think I'm really just kind of learning right now how to do myself. So I've been having to ask, is it fair, or was it fair for me to put all the blame on other people and say that they were the ones who were emotionally unavailable? When in all honesty, if I'm being real, and if you've read the book No F-Boys Allowed, even in that situation with that guy, he was definitely emotionally unavailable in all senses of the word. And I call him a fuckboy. But I also realized that the reason he was a fuckboy, or the reason why I dealt with that, was because I too was a fuck girl in that space. And fuck girls are emotionally unavailable as well. So for me not to put the two together, and I was okay with realizing that I was a fuck girl, if a fuck boy is emotionally unavailable, then yeah.
Continue on current road for about 6 miles.
Yeah. I was also emotionally unavailable. But if you notice, I use the word was, as though as soon as I went on my 5-year journey of finding myself, then all of a sudden I wasn't emotionally unavailable anymore. And maybe that's what I wanted to believe. Maybe that's what I told myself. But I will say that the first 6 months of dating and realizing that, or what I feel like, because I do still feel like I was dating emotionally unavailable men. But then again, I am genuinely starting to question myself and wonder, was it really them? You know, there was a podcast I did called The Common Denominator is Me. And in that, I realized that I'm taking blame for the guys that I've been dating. But then I'm starting to wonder if maybe, no, don't do that, Nikki. Don't do that. Don't question yourself, because that is being emotionally unavailable to yourself as well. That's saying that your emotions don't matter in that second, because in that second you felt as though they were emotionally unavailable, so trust that. So I'm not going to second guess myself with this and say that they weren't. I probably still do feel that they may have been, that they thought they were ready, the same way I thought I was ready, but there was still a little bit more I needed to learn. And the more that I needed to learn, y'all, I'm telling y'all, this vulnerable stuff is crazy to me. Like, and these aren't like sad tears. When I cry, it's one of those things of like recognition. It's almost like of a proud moment to be able to be like, wow, okay, aha, I got it. But the thing that I'm learning now is that I'm gonna have to be a little bit more emotionally in touch with my own feelings. I'm gonna have to start speaking my truth. I'm gonna have to be okay with telling my story. I'm gonna have to be okay with reliving my past sometimes. I'm gonna have to be okay with asking for what I want. That's a big one for me. It's asking for what I want and not just accepting what people give me as though that's enough, and being okay to walk away from it and not taking it personal. It's like, no, I hate this whole dating thing. Y'all, my eyes are watering and I'm driving on this Texas road. Luckily, I didn't put any mascara, but I'm over here wiping my eyes and driving and talking at the same time. But anyway, where was I? I was talking about asking for what I want. And I'm getting to this place now where I'm okay if people walk away, because I'm okay with understanding that not everybody can give me what I want. And there are even guys I'm talking to now, and even though they're good men, I still wonder, is this my guy? Like, is this the guy for me, you know? And I've had men that tell me, even now, like, you know, Nikki, I can be what you need for you. But I'm not sure if that's what my heart feels. And I feel like I've been with so many men that have told me before that they're what I'm looking for. I feel like in the past, I've always gone for the guy that chose me. I feel like in my past, I always went for the man who said, I want you. And because they wanted me, and because I felt were actively pursued me, I said, okay, fine. Let's do it. Because every woman wants a man who wants them. But in this new season of my life, what I'm realizing more so than anything is that I also want someone that I want just as much as he wants me. I'm not saying this off of like a fairy tale or movie type deal. I'm saying it from the standpoint of, I want someone who wants me just as much as I want them. I want it to be a matched energy. I don't even really care about the butterflies and stuff, but I do want to feel like safe. I do want to look at this man and be like, oh my God, I love this man, you know? Y'all, these trucks out here in Texas, I swear, this guy is trying to pass me, and then the other guy in front of me is in the fast lane, and surprisingly enough, he's not even going fast. Come on, guys, this is Texas. I need you to speed it up a little bit. But anyway, all I was saying was, I always feel like I fell for guys that wanted me. I fell for the guys that showed me attention. And I don't want it to be just one way anymore. I want it to be that I'm showing you just as much attention as you're showing me. And I think that's kind of where I fell off a little bit. I think there's this misconception that men are supposed to pursue women, and men are getting the short end of the stick. I'm just gonna say it. They're getting the short end of the stick because we're trying to hold off our feelings and emotions and wait for him to tell us how he feels about us, and we're not being emotionally available to ourselves or to them, or being true to our feelings. It's like, if I want to call him, I should be able to call him. If I want to tell him I'm thinking about him, I should be able to tell him I'm thinking about him. We shouldn't be in these little tricks and games, and all this other stuff is bullshit. All of these how to win a guy in 10 days, or how to make her fall in love in 5, and all these tricks, that's all bullshit. Because if we were all true to our hearts and true to ourselves and just spoke what was on our mind and how we felt, and if we were just okay with telling the other person how we felt about them, I feel like there would definitely be a lot more couples together. But no, we have pride holding us back, and we have these, I don't want it to seem like I'm pressing too hard, and all this other stuff that's holding us back, and I really feel like it's keeping us, because we're away from the people that we're supposed to be with, or could be with, because we're not in tune with our feelings. Hell, we're not even in tune with ourselves. But anyway, I don't want to go off on this for a long amount of time. So at the end of this, what I will say is me speaking to me and giving myself advice for the future. I would say that in terms of being emotionally available, oh my gosh, my eyes. I don't know if there's just some kind of pollen in this air or what, but something is killing me. Hold on, I'll finish this later. Ooh, I think what it is Texas has way too much pollution. Y'all got way too many people here. So all this gas and all this stuff is just getting in my eyes, and oh my goodness, I can't even see. Anyway, back to what I was saying to myself. Let me say to you, me talking to me, that I am proud of how far you've come. Because for you to have that aha moment and to realize that it may not have just been the other person. I think it takes a big person to be able to be self-aware enough and to be able to look into themselves enough to say, I may be the problem. And I think the great thing about emotions is we're able to take them and dissect them when they're given to us. And one thing my therapist always says to me is, damn, Nikki, like, you're very self-aware. I don't think you understand how much of a gift that is, because a lot of people come in and they're not self-aware enough to know that they're doing something that is detrimental, or they're doing something that they need to work on. A lot of times we're always pointing fingers at people, and you are okay enough to point the finger at you. I know a lot of people who, as soon as you point the finger at them, all of a sudden they just, I don't want to say black out. That's not the word I'm looking for. I mean, they could black out too, but kind of go off on you. But what I'm saying is they shut down. Because we all we all want to be perfect, whether we say it or not. We don't want people to point out our flaws. And I think the only way for you to even get to a certain level of perfection that we even try to get to, and it's humanly impossible, but even if you're trying to at least better yourself in the way that you can better yourself, is by being able to point out your flaws. So bravo to you for being able to point out the fact that you may be the problem. Or not even so much the problem. It's just you have found the area that needs some work. Maybe even the most work. Which is being emotionally in tune with your own feelings. I've told you so many times you've never allowed yourself to feel. You don't want to feel because in feeling it may make you feel imperfect. Mama told you to suck it up. Big girls don't cry. And we've carried that into our adulthood, and it's been detrimental to us. Because if we really think about it, we are human and we are supposed to cry. Our tears were given to us for a reason. We are supposed to release the emotions through crying. Why are we denying ourselves these emotions? Because this is what we were being taught in childhood. And so now I applaud you for realizing this and trying to unlearn it. Trying to work through it. Allowing yourself to actually feel something. To actually cry. To actually feel the emotions. To feel the heartbreak. Like, before you would just put on a tough armor and just keep it moving. Nope, I'm not gonna cry about that. Big girls don't cry. No. That was a lie, guys. That was a lie that was taught to us. Big boys don't cry. Big girls don't cry. No. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the bullshit. Just because our parents were conditioned to believe that and they put it onto us because they didn't want to deal with our emotions doesn't mean that that's okay for you now. And in order for you to be available for the people in your life, and I'm talking to you right now, me talking to me, in order for you to be available emotionally, spiritually, physically, all of those things, you have to be available to yourself. You have to be available to you first. And the only way to do those things is to allow yourself to feel those things. And I think from this point forward, I don't want anybody who hasn't allowed themselves to feel. Because I'm not the only person walking around here or have had walked around here pretending to be all healed and perfect, but I'm walking around here with a body armor on. I'm walking around here with that armor I put on when mommy told me to tough up. When mommy said stop crying. When mommy just was not there enough to deal with my emotions because she had her own shit going on. So yeah, maybe you were, and maybe even still are, the emotionally unavailable one. But that doesn't mean you have to be now, from this point forward. That doesn't mean you have to stay that way. I've always said the first good thing about a problem and changing a problem is in first recognizing that the issue exists. And so now that you recognize that the issue exists, we can start working on it. We can start focusing on it. And you've already started doing that. You've already started opening yourself up to the world. You've already started allowing yourself to feel the feelings. You've started to question things a lot more. You're not just accepting of things. You're creating boundaries and you're shutting down relationships you feel that probably either no longer serve you or will not serve you in the future either. So yeah, I'm proud of you. And for those of my listeners out there who may realize that you too have not been as open and honest with your own feelings as you could be, I would just like to say to you to maybe take a moment to yourself and just ask yourself, are you emotionally invested in yourself? Have you allowed yourself to cry maybe over that one person that may have done you wrong so many years ago? Ask yourself, have you allowed yourself to be whatever emotions that you're feeling? Have you allowed the emotions in you to just come up and allow yourselves to feel those emotions? And you'd probably be surprised at some of the things that you've tucked away in the back of your brain that you haven't allowed yourself to touch before. But no more. Remember, just because you were a certain way in the past, don't do that whole thing of, well, this is just who I am, and, take it or leave it or deal with it. No, don't be like that. You can change. You can switch it up. You don't have to remain the same. You're only being like that because you don't want to allow yourself to feel the feels. But you're gonna have to, if you want to be in a healthy relationship with yourself. You're gonna have to break down, take that armor off, and walk that walk. Anyway, guys, I'm almost to my destination. And this map lady is getting on my nerves already. But I'm finally taking a road trip to go see my brother for a couple days before I go back out to Cali for a little bit. So, in the meantime, in between time, I'd like to thank you for listening to me be all up in my feelings. There are so many different places you could be.
Make a U-turn if possible.
And yet, you are here with me. And I appreciate you for that. And until next time, I love you. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Hello Me, It's Me with Nikki D. Lovely. Just remember, you can't change who you were yesterday, but you can always learn and grow to become a better version of yourself today. So, make sure you do the mental work today for the future you tomorrow, and I will see you next week. And in the meantime, make sure that you check me out on my Instagram at Nikki D. Lovely. You can also find me at nikkidlovely.com and check out my book, No F Boys Allowed. I also have a poetry book coming out pretty soon, so just a little shameless plug. But either way, I will see you guys next time, and thanks again.